Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the APAC BFSI Finnovation Conclave. This is a two-day conclave, and today is a day one. We started in the morning with a host of senior government functionaries from the financial sector talking on the policy level. We had the finance secretary from Uttar Pradesh. We had the RBI Innovation Hub CTO, and we had the enterprise architecture head of GSTN speaking in the morning session. Subsequently, we have two panel discussion, one on banking on the future, where both PSU banks as well as private and MNC banks spoke about the digitization in the future roadmap of banking. Next, we had a session specifically on how cooperative banks are looking at their digital strategies, and technology leaders from the cooperative banks are there. We had a host of industry sessions, and before we start this panel discussion, perhaps it makes sense to mention all our industry partners who supported us during this program. So we have Avaya, our digital transformation partner, Fortinet as our security partner, Devanagari as our translation language partner, Click as our active intelligence partner, Crestron as our associate partner, Choice Solutions as our associate partner, and MapMy India as our gold partner. It's my pleasure to moderate the discussion. And before we start, let me introduce you to the very esoteric set of panelists we have for today's session. We have with us Mr. KV Dipu, President Operations, Communities and Customer Experience at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Welcome, Dipu.
Hello, everyone. Thank you,
Next.
and hello, everyone.
Welcome. Next, we have Pawan Chawla. He is a CISO of Future Generali India Life Insurance. Welcome, Pawan.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We have with us Abhishek Bansal, Head Non-Financial Risk and CISO at Max Life Insurance. Welcome, Abhishek.
Yeah, thank you, Rajneesh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. We have with us Mr. M. Raju. He's a CTO of Shriram Life Insurance. Welcome, Raju.
Good evening. Thank you.
We have with us Deepak Lingwal. He is the Chief Operating Officer of SBI General Insurance. Welcome, Deepak.
Hello everyone. Good evening, Rajneesh. Thank you.
We have with us Srinidhi Sharma. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of Aegon Life Insurance. Welcome, Srinidhi.
Hello, everyone.
And just right now, we are joined by Anjana Rao. She is the Chief Strategy Officer at IndiaFirst Life Insurance. Welcome, Anjana.
Thank you.
We have with us Anup Seth. He is the Chief Distribution Officer at Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance. Welcome, Anup.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Nice to be connected.
And we have with us Himanshu Gupta. He heads the BFSI vertical at Click. Welcome, Himanshu.
Thanks, Rajneesh. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. Let's start on today's topic is basically insurance sector, how to reinventing customer engagement and resource utilization with business automation. What we are trying to achieve through this interaction is specifically looking at the insurance sector. What are the digital technologies which are trending or being increasingly leveraged? And more importantly, if we classify insurance sector or business into different components, how are technologies helping these different areas of insurance sector leveraging those technologies better to enhance their business? So let me start first with Dipu. And my question is very broadly, if we look at an insurance company, three areas for them are in terms of developing new products and assessing the claims and enhancing the customer experience and customer satisfaction. So, if we look at these three areas, how do you feel digital technologies are helping? Over to you, Dipu.
Rajneesh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, we
Hello?
can hear you. Yeah, Deepak, you can go ahead. We can hear you. Hello? Yes, Deepak, we can hear you. I think he got disconnected. So maybe we can go to our next panelist, Pawan, and we will come back to Deepu once he reconnects. I would, since Pawan, you handle security position, and that security is one of the key uh, aspects in insurance. Perhaps my question would be, as insurance companies are undergoing the digital transformation, what are the biggest security challenges, cyber security challenges that you see for them?
Well, it's like a Pandora box you have just opened, Rajneesh, because there are so many things which has changed in the last couple of years, and the adoption of technology has become the prominent factor for any organization. Insurance industry is also one of them, where a lot of technologies have been adopted by the organization. Before I get into the security aspect, it is very important the transition which had happened in the last couple of years, the parameters which have changed from having a corporate network then to a home network. Now everything is there in one machine. The parameter has changed, so it is very much important to understand the user behavior and how they are assessing the data, what they are doing with what they are doing with the data, how they are analyzing it, how they are utilizing it, and how they are processing the data using that particular machine, which is now connected to your home network, not connected to your office network. Though VPN plays a can be a piece of it, which is connected over the open internet itself, connected to your network, but still it has its own vulnerability, and there are other challenges which are there. When we talk about security, from so we need to look at it from both the aspects. So one is the organization aspect, second is the consumer aspect. The consumer also plays a very important role, and is educating your consumer and providing a same environment also plays a very important role. So when they are assessing your portfolios or your footprint over the internet, the website which they are accessing, the forms which through which they are providing the input, when they are doing a customer login and making changes to their portfolio which you have, uh, the AI chatbot which they are assessing, all have to go through a security assessment, and you need to ensure when they are importing the data, whatever is being captured is only restricted to what you need and how you process the data. And you need to give that confidence to the consumer to ensure that it stays there, and it is of their benefit and not for any other purpose for which the data is being collected. Today, data protection bill has been talked about, though it has still gone under review, and there will be amendment which will be coming up. But since consumer is very much aware of it, they always talk about data privacy. When they reach out to you, they ask for information. Then when they submit the information today, they definitely question for what purpose are you going to use it. Hence, organizations have to be very careful and very cognizant of the fact and transparently tell their customers that for what purposes are they used. Hence, the privacy policy, which has been hosted on the website through which you are collecting the data, or any other application, plays a very important role, and needs to be drafted in such a way that a consumer can understand in a layman's language, not a technical language, in which it has to be, and it should specifically cover for what purpose do you use that. Now, when we come to the organization network and organization environment, where data security plays a very important role, because all the customer data which has been collected through different digital portfolios are being processed within the environment. So, like I said, that it is very important to monitor what your people are doing with that particular data. The most important thing needs to be taken care of is the access to be provided on need to know basis. You should not over provision, do not provide over access to individuals who are accessing it. And there are certain technologies which you can adopt to monitor uh, uh, the access to the data. The most important piece which I consider today is the EDR solution, which the organization should adopt, because until and unless you know that what is happening in the endpoint, you will never be able to reach a point where you know that what needs to be protected. Along with the EDR, DLP plays a very important role in protecting the data to ensure that it stays within the environment. It should not go out of the environment. Then, along with that, because your parameter has changed now, then whatever you have provided access to your people, it needs to be monitored. Now, there used to be a time when we used to have a legacy firewalls, which is a device installed on the network, but that is not the case anymore, because people are accessing internet from their home network. They may be using VPN, they may not be using VPN, but still the processing has to happen. Hence, cloud proxy plays a very important role. It gives you a clear visibility of what they have, what they do not have, what people are assessing, what they are downloading, how the machines are behaving, and then after you correlate all these things, you will be able to create a secure environment. I will sum it up here because I would like to take other security things at a later stage. Uh, that would be my summation, Rajneesh.
Okay, thank you. Deepu, we had a glitch at the time, so we'll go back to you. Uh, Basically, the focus, the question was on digital technologies leverage to develop products, assess claims, and enhance customer experience. I think Dipu has got disconnected again. So I'll come to Abhishek next. My question is, what would be the preferred approach for insurance companies when they are talking of digital transformation, especially in the context of one is migrating from your legacy IT platforms, or as to build some new proprietary kind of platforms, or to use a third party software solution? What are the preferred approaches for insurance companies?
Sure. Thank you, Rajneesh. I think I'll take it in this way that no, one, everything kind of goes customer backwards. No, you want to enhance customer experience. You want to reduce the turnaround times for the transactions, no, which they experience with you. And last comes basically definitely no, when it comes to cost savings. To deliver all of these, right, and to answer your question, I would kind of divide the entire no IT space in primarily three broad buckets. So one is, if we see it from a customer standpoint, again, these are nothing but systems of engagement. The website, the applications, whether you are engaging through IVRs, through chatbots, and likewise. These are the ones where typically it is the experience which matters the most. And hence what I have seen in my experience is that every company, irrespective of they are in the same sector, they would like to have a very customized experience for their clients. So this is where primarily the build versus buy goes more skew towards build, where you can actually bring in your own differentiation. How do you kind of build those components? The second area comes in basically the one which powers in, again, I mean, it's an interim layer, you can say, which are called as systems of differentiation. the powerhouse in terms of what are your specific models. Again, collating it to, let's say, maybe the giving the persistency experience to the customer, right? How do you kind of enact with respect to, let's say, mortality? So the entire analytical AI engine, which actually powers up, is something which is there in between. This is something which is very close to your organization. It can be a combination of, let's say, maybe certain things which are more COTS. So, for example, likes of a workflow, right? But specific microservices and the data powering it, let's say, is something which is very custom built, right? How you can actually reach out to customer proactively is something which qualifies in these systems. So it's a combination of parts, something which is very commoditized like workflows you may not like to invest, you can pick up from market, and something which is very close to you can focus on build. Last is something which is very core to organizations, but it is also very commoditized. It is something which is called a system of records. And typically, rather than actually investing in build, it makes more sense, and organizations typically pick up something which is available as a cost product, commercially off the shelf product, which you can leverage, likes of your CRM, likes of your base systems. So this is where I would sum it up that there are different strategies in terms of what layer you operate in, right? Where do you want to kind of transform, whether it is your the experience layer, whether it is basically the the engine in between, or basically it is a system of records.
Thank you. Thanks. Next, I'll come to you, Raju. And my question is, as an IT leader of an insurance company, how do you conduct a cost-benefit analysis when you are choosing your, I'll say, an IT modernization roadmap? So, how do you do a cost-benefit analysis, Raju?
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, cost management means cost benefit analysis should be one is a practice. Okay, when you are starting any new project or any new implementation, we have to see whether it is the whatever spent we are doing on that, whether it is really worth, or whether we will get a benefit out of the spent what we made to the local for that project. So there will be a fixed cost, there will be indirect cost, direct cost, all these things are involved. So for example, you are starting one location in a new location. Some fixed rent will be there, or some investment will be there. Some fixed cost and variable cost, infrastructure cost, everything will be there. Whatever the business expected in that location, whether it is viable or not, we have to see. Otherwise, we have to start in a alternate way. Once we see some progress and once we get the confidence, we have to invest more on the location. In the same way, either infrastructure side or software side, anything you want to implement, we have to see the cost benefit. How you structure that, it depends on the methodology or some practice, whatever you are planning to do. We'll compare that cost benefit analysis in a multiple ways. Some are intangible, or some service related or customer initiatives that will improve the goodwill of the company, and indirect benefit will be there, something. Some maybe direct benefit will be there. So both the parameters, either cost or it is a return, both we have to take in the same currency, and we have to start doing that. Generally, IT side we will take care. The operation side, business side, some other teams will handle this cost benefit analysis before doing any new project or a new location or any expansion or new investment. I think that is
Thanks.
what.
Sure. Thanks. I'll come back to. So I see Dipu has come back after that internet glitch. So Dipu, coming back to the question I put to you, how was the insurance industry leveraging digital technologies for product developments, claim assessments, and most importantly, enhancing customer experience?
Yeah. So firstly, can you hear me?
experience.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rajneesh. Sorry, there was some technical issue. See, if you look at what the industry has done, from a customer-facing perspective, it's all about all the digital assets which have come to the fore in terms of servicing customers, whether it is WhatsApp, whether it's an AI-driven bot, whether it's voice-based servicing, whether it's a customer portal. And coming to your point around claims, which is the moment of truth in the insurance industry, if you look at motor claims today, you don't have to go through this rigmarole of calling for the surveyor and the entire process kicking in via physical inspection. It's a two-step process. The customer can basically just take photographs and upload them using the mobile app. The AI engine will kick in, and within a matter of 20 minutes up to certain amounts, we can make the claim payment. Similarly, if you look at health insurance through telemedicine, by obviating the need for physical visits, we've been able to offer uninterrupted servicing both from a health insurance policy issuance point of view as well as payment of health claims. And then if you look at crop insurance today, especially using Indian languages, we've been able to come out with apps by which farmers need not step out of their home. They can use the app to interact with us, interact with the government, raise their claim, and then basically get notifications from us. In fact, it also won us the Global Innovation Insurance Award. So across the entire spectrum, whether it's customer service, whether it is claims, digital tools, have been leveraged completely. And I think going forward, it's going to be an optimal combination of man and machine. While we have digitized the physical, now the accent is going to shift on humanizing the digital.
Thanks. My next question is for Deepak. And this question is again overall the insurance players, how are they looking at digital technologies, especially analytics, to increase your premiums or written premiums, and more important, to reduce churn. Churning is a big challenge, bottleneck for the insurance sector. So, how effectively analytics is being leveraged to reduce churn for the insurance industry? Deepak.
So, Rajneesh, I think it's a very good question. And if you look at from a industry point of view, what GI is doing as of now, we are sitting at almost 200,000 crore business. And we are likely to be in 1 million CR in next 5 to 6 years. So that is the growth which is expected in GI industry. So for this, we need to build a future. And I think analytics is going to play a major role on this. And the kind of solution that are available to all the insurance industry, that will help us in reaching to that milestone. If you see the trend coming on to data science is very important. And I think if we can build a strong analytics tool, which will help us in taking timely decision in a faster mode, that will help us to serve the industry customers better. And that is why the current solutions we are taking help, and digitization and automation are helping us in doing so. So data science is one factor which is going to impact us very in a big way, and analytics is going to play a vital role, be it a business point of view or be it from the compliance or regulatory point of view. So certainly AI is going to help us in building that kind of a structure where insurance is awaiting.
Thanks, Deepak. My next question is for Srinidhi. And my question to Srinidhi is basically on how are insurance CIOs looking to lower your loss adjustment expense, and more importantly, increase the accuracy of the claims handling. This increasing the accuracy can be a big business catalyst for insurance sector. So, how are the insurance CIOs looking to sort of do this, and how do you see the role of technology being played there, Srinidhi?
Absolutely, yeah. It's actually a great question, Rajneesh. So we are looking at the accuracy of claims handling in actually two different facets, if you will. Right? One is straightforward the accuracy of claims handling itself, which we'll get to in a minute. But the other aspect is in the top of the funnel, right at the beginning of the life cycle of the customer, right while underwriting. Right? can we do few things due to which at the claims process there is very less risk of having a fraud, right? And due to which we can actually increase the amount of payments that we do and so on and so forth, right? So that is two ways in which we are handling this. So working on the underwriting side itself, right? How can we make the underwriting process very streamlined on one side, but at the same time, right, have a bunch of algorithms running in the back end while underwriting is going on, so that the risk of fraud is reduced drastically. I know it might be through looking at patterns, it might be through looking at what this guy has done in other facets of life outside of the insurance and so on and so forth, right? And so that the risk of fraud is reduced drastically. Now we come to the claim stage, right? That the claims might happen in number of years after the underwriting, right? And then you have a huge gap in between, right? But right during the claims process, right? So there are a few things that we could do, right? Once you know that okay, risk of fraud is quite less, that will actually streamline the entire fraud process and reduce the risk that okay, we are paying to the wrong person. So here, the one aspect is to make sure that the nominee is quite engaged during the process of the during the life of the insurance, the life cycle itself, right? So that you know who the nominee is, he or she is quite engaged with the process, and the moment you know that okay, there is a stage of claims, and the aspect that okay, this is the right person to pay out the claims, you just pay it out in a matter of hours, right? So that is one aspect. Second aspect is having tying up with a network of hospitals, which we are actually doing a POC right now, to see if we can establish the fact that the person has died with or without claims, so that we can actually go to a paradigm of like no claims, proactive claims processing, where even if before the claims come in, that the person is gone and it's a genuine case, you trigger the claims process instead of them coming in. So that the entire aspect of you needing to weed out fraud is actually happening as a byproduct of this entire process, while at the other side the nominee is getting an amazing experience, right? So basically the gist of this entire thing is that the crux to having a low fraud and seamless claims process is not in the claims itself, but doing things much ahead of time, before the claim stage actually comes in. Of course, I'm talking in the context of life insurance, but yeah, this is the direction in which we are going.
Thanks. Next, Anjana, I'll come to the question on. We had earlier talked about insurance within BFSI has been one of the sector which we know have been on the forefront of technology adoption, and as a result, a lot of legacy IT systems or legacy IT deployments are already there in many of the insurance companies. And as we now talk about this digital transformation, and we are talking about migrating from those legacy platforms more towards a cloud environment, what are the biggest challenges insurance companies are facing in this migration from legacy towards a cloud kind of environment? Anjana.
Thanks, Rajneesh. So I mean, while there are challenges, there's always there's something which is motivating you to move on to cloud, which outweighs the challenges which one is going to face while doing the migration. So, as a cloud strategy, it's not about moving everything that you have onto cloud, right? So, there's a clear cut strategy as to what are the low hanging fruits, and obviously, I mean, what are the critical systems which, when I move to cloud, is also going to help me to optimize the overall experience from an end user's perspective. I cannot afford to have a end-to-end process which is half on cloud and half is being processed on prem. So there are multiple aspects which are being looked into, and legacy or the system of records, as one of my co-panelists was saying, is the last thing which we would want to migrate on a cloud. But yes, definitely, let's say the peripheral systems which are maybe key to what we call as core or non-core. Yes, there is a definite migration plan. So let's say CRM. I mean, if you have a CRM suite already, the vendors themselves show you a roadmap as to how you can move to cloud and what's the experience and how it can help to optimize further on the cost part, right? So I mean, so there are a couple of straight jacketed shifts. The challenge comes in when you have already customized solutions which are bespoke, home built, and over there the challenges increase because when you move them onto the cloud, so it's about what database, what operating system, what servers, and then whether so that's where you need to do further some tweaking to the codes. Otherwise, the onus is on the vendors for the suits, to migrate onto the cloud. But yeah, I mean, it has to be uh, a well thought and a well articulated roadmap. It cannot happen overnight, and definitely for core systems, it's a long shot. It won't happen immediately. At least I don't see uh, it happening very soon. It will take time.
Sure. Yes.
Happy to have a discussion and know the viewpoint of other panelists. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think most of the panelists would agree on that, that it would still take some time. Anup, I'll come next to you. And earlier, one of the panelists, I think Pawan, touched upon the privacy and data protection issues, and the consumers are now becoming more and more aware about issues like privacy and data protection, where data protection is involved. So, how are insurance companies looking at this privacy and data protection angle? Anup.
Thanks, Rajneesh, for your question. I think before I move on to data protection and privacy as a perspective, I think all of us are talking about this new world of digital to cater to consumers. But I think the reality is the consumer is today, thanks to experiences on the Uber, Ola, Amazons, the Flipkarts of the world, his transaction experiences of a different order. And I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to benchmark whether you're offering a life insurance or a general insurance policy, or you're offering a banking product suites of CASA, he's expecting the same seamlessness, the same transparency, the same amount of sort of the data protection that he gets in the digital world. Expecting that with financial services becomes a little more difficult because you're dealing with financial information. You're not dealing with just information with regards to what food he wants to have or what apparel he wants to buy. You're talking about products which sort of consumers either get in their lifetime, or their families get the proceeds of that. In this, the responsibility of building data systems and architectures is certainly with the technology team at the manufacturer's end, but a lot of it also comes with the digital ecosystem that your government sets up. Right now, I think we're fortunate. We're born in an era where data security as a measure is, there are policies which the governments are working on. There are policies which, the industry bodies are recommending both at the regulator level, IRDA, RBI, SEBI, and there are internal infosec policies that corporates are adapting to be able to give consumers the confidence that the information seek from them is going to use for serving them and not for any other services. The platform that they're transacting is as safe and as secure as they would have transacted on any other platform, let's say the income tax platform also. The trick of most manufacturers is, I think, the question that you addressed to my colleague before, Anjali, I think this whole element of whether you are building architectures in the cloud or in the physical world are things that will determine your security, ownership, and policies. People are started to believe that the cloud was far more riskier because your data information was lying in the open world of web. That's not the reality. In fact, most digital experts believe that the information on the cloud, using the service like AWS, are far more secure than your own perimeter-based hosting services. I think the trick one has to clearly figure out is your technology organization capabilities there to be able to create an architecture design, a network design, which gives the sense of security, but both your consumers and your partners to be able to seamlessly transact with you. And this is, to me, as an expertise subject. It's not a subject which you have a typical outsource model works well. You need to have internal capabilities, because there are not only just
the consumer confidence, there is also regulatory breaches which can cause you impact on penalties and licenses. So I would urge all people serious in the technology business and pouring into both front end, middleware, and back end technologies is to be able to make sure InfoSec is one of the primary objectives, because without that, the consumer will not be confident to transact on your platform. So that's a limited view from my side. Yeah.
Thank you. Next, I'll come to Himanshu. Now, you have heard from, if I may say, from the other side, all the insurance companies talking about different aspects of digitization. And one often touched upon thing was how analytics is being leveraged. As an analytics solution provider, my question to you is how can you help the insurance companies in a more effective leverage of analytics to sort of help in their business to increase accuracy, reducing churns, or the other challenges that they face? Himanshu. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. Am I audible now? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, great. So, so sorry for that. And I think all, the panelists before me, they spoke about, how digital transformation initiatives, are shaping the industry, bringing in new ways of doing business. And, I personally believe, digital transformation, automation, whatever we might want to call it, this is something, which has the potential to improve every aspect of, value cycle in an insurance organization. It can drive significant cost savings, in servicing your customers. And, even more importantly, it can drive customer experience, right? So, but what we believe is, infusion of analytics, to digital transformation and automation, can really make this gain exponential, right? So Click has been at the forefront, supporting organizations across the globe to, unravel insights from the data which is locked, in the silos, right? Organizations have spent, years of time and effort, to set up an enterprise-wide data fabric, which can allow, free intermingling of, information coming from various systems, and, provide them what we call a single truth, all the whole truth. Now, so far, all the insights which these systems, all these analytic systems, reporting systems, what they were generating, the action was sort of implied, right? The system would provide the insight, and it would depend on the user to take the action. And I think that's where, Click is going a step ahead, by incorporating this, automation within the platform itself. So now, with the platform like Click, you can trigger automated process flows from within the, platform, which can be really a productivity multiplier for your workforce, right? So we've always believed in an open API architecture, right? I mean, not limiting ourselves to the, capabilities provided within the platform, but to be able to integrate with, all sort of, platforms which are available from, various service providers, and, create a sort of, exponential, differentiation for our clients. So, taking the same, principle, aside from the application automation which Click is providing, right? We also integrate with almost all leading automation platforms like UiPath and all, right? So the idea is, most of the tasks, which used to be the mundane tasks, for which, the users, they would have to spend precious time after the analytics system, would generate an insight. How do we define, some sort of a rule based, automation, and allow the systems to, take over some of that, a rule based decision making, and convert it into an automated flow? I believe, this is our vision, which is, getting our clients from passive BI experience to active intelligence. And, analytics in itself, with this, infusion of automation, is what I believe will define the next level of growth for the insurance organizations.
Thanks, Himanshu. Okay, so we have one round with all the panelists. So now what I will do is I will keep my questions open, and I will seek any panelists. So, and we will try to take up two or three very important issues. One one issue which came up was compliance, and we know insurance is a highly regulated sector, and this requires conformance to many of the compliances. So my question, when is we are talking about digital transformation and usage of analytics or other technologies migrating towards cloud and infrastructural shift, how are the challenges in terms of complying to these regulations, and where does technology play a role there? It's an open question. Um, I'll ask anyone can take it up.
So let me start it because it is from insurance. So let me take a lead there because yeah, compliance is an important piece and it's an integral part of of the insurance industry. Without that, anyways, we will not be able to survive because we have to meet a lot of compliances, whether you talk about from the business side or you talk about from the security side. And over a period of time, the regulator has been stringent enough to come up with new requirement on the compliance side, which we have to meet. And there are stringent timeline in terms of meeting those requirements to ensure the interest of the customers stays within the organization, met, and then delivered to the customer as well. Now, to give you an example, similar to meet the compliances from security perspective, in 2020, December 29th, towards the end of the year, the regulator came up with a new guideline where they they proposed that the vulnerabilities which are reported during the assessment need to be closed within 1 month for all critical and internet application. So now, practically, if you look at it, there are challenges for every organization to deliver such a kind of a result because then you have to do multiple round of fixing, multiple round of revalidation, uh, multiple rounds of reassessment to ensure that you meet the compliance. But being whether the resources are available, whether your supply chain, the vendors you have onboarded to meet all these are capable enough to deliver such a requirement. Your internal team, uh, we all, every team has their own pros and cons, and there is always a shortage of manpower. Whether you will be able to cope up with that kind of a requirement, whether you will be able to fix those vulnerabilities and give it to the vendor for revalidation or to your internal team, it's a challenge. Now, these are the things which are the practical challenges which I'm talking about from the security perspective. Similarly, there are business challenges, business requirements as well, and those are the things which needs to be looked at. Being a regulated environment, I would say compliance plays a very important role and needs to be thoroughly and diligently looked into. That would be my take.
Okay, so who else would like to add on the compliance challenges and role of technology there?
Can I add, Rajneesh?
Sure, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think one intersection of compliance and technology is the sandbox opportunity which IRDA has rolled out, where IRDA is basically told insurers that rather than comply with the full panoply of regulations, one can conduct a POC, and typically this involves state of the art solutions that firms have come up with, and then you do this in a in a closed user environment, and then once it's successful you can work with the regulator to basically scale it up. So this is a good meeting of minds where the regulator says, okay, fine, if you have something, let's see how we can scale it up fast. And so it's a good intersection, and I think firms did avail of it. Of course, after that COVID came in, and then some of those proposals couldn't scale up because of the restrictions due to COVID. But now that we are back in the reckoning, I think you are now going to see a huge surge here.
Just
Thanks.
to add a little bit,
Yeah.
for a minute, I think the compliance to what the regulator has laid a framework. I think the fortunate part of it is our regulator, has always been proactive. I think in the COVID period, in the early 2 weeks of March 2020, is when the regulator sort of pivoted towards an entire digital advisory platform, which especially I'm talking about in terms of life insurance, all the policies that existed with regards to our distance marketing framework, the wet signatures, and the digital payment mode, and the digital onboarding, acceptance, or need analysis. All those sort of evolution that we wanted for life insurance to move from to a complete digital paperless onboarding was something the regulator was very pro of. I think the other thing that one has to be very sensitive about, that the regulator in India, while he's offered sandbox for trying new POCs, I think there's also governing bodies which allows you to be able to represent, whether it's a life council or the other meetings, which allow you to represent on things that you think are solving a real consumer problems. There's enough and more room to discuss. We have always found whether the regulatory part of the compliance or the internal compliance are more than happy to take decisions as long as you read the regulations towards the right. The problem is when you want to read the regulations in the middle or the left is when the issues will happen. But regulations are very friendly. I think some of it is about our imagination to be able to find innovative solutions. And some of the things that we discuss about legacy systems, I think a problem is our legacy mindsets and legacy systems are more crippling to our thinking than the opportunity. If you see the entire West of world is been operating on digital world for both life and GI for over decades. It's us who are sort of holding ourselves to be able to experiment what the customer can really, what we can really offer. So it's not just regulations; it's our own mindset and which are sort of holding us on doing things there.
Okay, thank you. So, another, you touched upon this when you mentioned what happened in the first 2 weeks of the COVID period, the digital advisories were given. So, my question, again, an open question, anyone can take it up. These last couple of years during the pandemic, obviously, the digital adoption has got accelerated due to obvious reasons. How has been the impact on the insurance sector in terms of the digital acceleration, specifically from the consumer side, and how has the insurance companies coped with the challenges that come with those acceleration? So, anyone, again, I would
Rajneesh, can I take that?
sure, definitely.
Yeah. I think this is something which has now become bread and butter for insurance companies and for customers. COVID was as somebody put it colorfully a global unplanned UAT, and I think everybody had to join the party, because that became not just a way of working. Digital became not just a way of working but a way of living. So whether it's customers, whether it's distributors, or whether it's firms, I think everybody has joined the bandwagon. So if you look at the entire life cycle, if you look at customers approaching you today, a lot of it happens through digital means. Call center is just one part of the entire landscape. You have WhatsApp, you have chatbots, you have mobile apps. Similarly, if you look at lifestyle servicing, a lot of it is paperless. It happens through apps, portals, and tabs. And then when you look at claims, there's again a lot of areas where the entire claim process, or at least parts of it have got heavily digitized. I think going forward, Rajneesh, I think there are 2-3 factors to keep in mind. One is, given our landscape, how do we move from a unilingual offering to a multilingual offering? That'll be very critical to ensure that, you penetrate into the hinterland of India. And the other is, how do you get the best of man and machine? Because people have seen the efficiency of bots, but when customers come to you, and especially during, moments like claims, they get a healing touch. So how do you get in, the efficiency of bots, yet you bring in that human touch? I think you do this, and then, you're on for the next, wave. So that's, broadly a sum and substance of what's happened in the last couple of years and what's going to happen going forward.
So if I may add here, Rajneesh.
Sure.
See, basically what Dipu has said is absolutely right. This pandemic has, changed the paradigm overnight. And now whatever we are doing, that if you see the background, pandemic is there looking at us. So every action of ours in insurance industry is badly impacted. Pandemic has forced us to prepone some of our journeys. We were already there on the digitization and automation. So now what we are doing, we are reimagining journey, keeping in mind that whether customer is going to meet us in physical or not, whether our employees are going to serve the industry as a whole or not. So we are revamping the entire process, front end, mid office, and the back office. That is why the digitization is happening on every front. be it underwriting, claim settlement, be it onboarding of the customer, be it on the side of digital partners, on the distributors, everything. So pandemic has forced us to look the entire frame from a different perspective altogether. And that is why a big push has been given to all these digitization and automation drive. And I'm thankful to the fintech company that they are coming up in a big way, and they are providing very small solutions and helping all the insurance industry to automate and digitize their processes. That is the what pandemic has taught us in the process.
Actually,
May
I
I add to it, Rajneesh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
so I think what I think all our panelists, I mean, agreed that the pandemic has really led to, what we call an acceleration of this digitization. I mean, it's not a new term; it's been on for last, probably a decade. What pandemic has done is probably, brought it on steroids, right? So the kind of change we did in last 2 years, probably, in a normal scenario, might have taken another 10 years. But one of the key, so to say, the outcome of this digitization is, more data. Again, I mean, the more touch points, the more processes you are digitization, the more data you are generating. And I think during the COVID time, we have all felt that, the decision making which is happening in the digital realm is a lot more than, what it was happening before the digitization. So that has had an impact on the analytics system as well, right? So I mean, while I mean, most of the analytics system, we've seen have typically, been relying on, batch-based, overnight data pipelines, for quite a while. I think what this pandemic has sort of brought to the fore is the need for the real-time data pipelines into the analytics system, right? You can't really use your analytics systems, for real-time decision making if the data is stale and n-1 or n-2 day old. So I think one of the very critical aspect, or so to say, the takeaway from this whole journey is the importance of having a real time data, not just in the transaction but also having it in your analytics system. And I mean, using your analytics system as a sort of brain, for decision making and augmenting your workforce in making those real time decisions.
Sure. Yeah, Anjana, you were saying something, I think.
Yeah, I was just trying to echo what Deepak and Dipu mentioned. I mean, the whole shift is, now when we are looking at the processes and now when we are designing the process, the focus is how do I minimize my operations or make a zero ops or no ops process. So that's the basic shift which I see has happened, and that's a transformation, a definitive shift which I see.
Okay, just one point. We are talking about this, especially during the pandemic, and very briefly, very personal experience. Um uh, my dad had a surgical operation, and that too in a place like Noida, and the claims, hospital claims, and I wouldn't name the insurance company, but
Thank
it's
you.
not present today here. But beyond this, one of the top insurance companies. The problem is we talk about digitization and everything. What the problem we felt was over 2 months, and that particular hospital didn't have a cashless facility. That's why the issue was everything was manual. From the agent, every information was asked manually. Get this signed physically. You have to submit all the X-ray plates and everything, they have to be manually submitted again and again. Very brief question. Now, and any insurance company will work in that whole ecosystem. There will be network of the agents and the likes, the whole ecosystem. So, has this digitization seeped across to the whole ecosystem, or are we still most of the work still going on manually? And this happened just 4 5 months back. So it's quite recent. So, or there is still a long way to go fully digital for the entire ecosystem? Anyone, if you can take.
So, Rajneesh, I think this is the first time we are hearing a live complaint from our anchor. So, basically, thank God you have not disclosed the identity of the company. So, basically, it is because, as per my understanding, I think we all have the automated process for claims, right? But in your case, it might be possible that the TPA was attached to that hospital has not provided the kind of services that you are looking for. But in our company, I think that is the need of the hour, where we need to automate the entire process, be it cashless or be it a reimbursement mode. So in case of reimbursement, what you are mentioning as of now, I think there we have to have a digital process for submission of the document, assessing the claims, or the be it health product or be it any commercial claim for that matter. So assessment part should be automated, and we are using various mobile app for this purpose. And thereafter, payment of the claims, that is also automated. So I don't know which company you are referring to, but I think most of the companies have progressed to that environment where everyone, right from the submission of the claim to the settlement of claim and the payment thereof, is completely automated. And there, I think digital solutions that are available playing a vital role in faster settlement of the claims. And recently, our company, as General, has been awarded the fastest claim settlement company award. So that's the way we are dealing with the claims.
Okay. uh, Understand. Maybe so what I will now, I will come to each panelist, and this will be the last round, and very briefly I'll ask each panelist to mention, maybe according to you, over the next one year. Let's take, let's not look too further. Next 1 year, what do you expect? It can be from your company or overall from the insurance industry perspective. The biggest initiative that you see will be undertaken, and what will be the implication of that? Very briefly, 1 minute to each panelist. Maybe I can start with you, Abhishek.
So Rajneesh, it's a tough one when you qualify it for the entire industry, but I still believe, I think the core is again at the center, which is the customer, and how the faster turnaround times can be kind of ensured to the customer, whether it is for claim processing like you were kind of discussing in the last question, or is it about actually making more no more the customer journey is more and more intuitive, if I may say. So what do I mean by that is, say for example, things which we can actually obtain from, let's say, maybe other external agencies, and can less burden the customers around them with real-time integrations, whether it is faster medicals, whether it is so through financial surrogates and likewise. I think that's definitely an area, in my view, where I would see majority of the insurance companies working towards.
Thanks, Pawan.
Yeah. So now, because insurance industry deals with a lot of data, the data is now considered to be a fuel for any organization as well. That is going to be an area of focus. How we protect it, how we deal with data, what we do with the data specifically when targeting new customers using AI and ML and selling cross products plays a very important role. And I think the focus is going to be driven towards the data by and building the ecosystem which can help both to what Abhishek has mentioned, delivering to the customer by bringing a new user experience, faster delivery modes, and giving a new experience to the user through which they can claim faster and receive payment faster is going to be an area of focus. Similarly, for the organization, how they store the data, how they utilize the data, how they secure the data, and how they can build confidence in the customer that whatever they have given, the customer has given to the organization is secure enough to keep them stay protected, is going to be the area of focus.
Thanks, Raju. Yeah, Raju,
Sorry,
you are on
I'm
mute.
unmuted. Yeah, tell me, Rajneesh.
Yeah, so your view on what, very briefly, what will be the immediate initiative which the insurance industry you foresee happening in the next 1 year? One biggest, you have 1 minute for that.
Sorry, client side, no?
Pardon?
I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, I can able to hear.
Yeah,
Right.
what I was saying is, according to you, will be insurance industry's biggest initiative or action in the next 1 year? Very briefly, 1 minute.
Yeah. Mainly in the current scenario, we're putting a lot of focus on automation and customer this thing, delight. So
Okay,
new products is one area we are putting, and we are trying to do maximum automation side.
okay.
Client side and all, yeah.
Thank you.
Correct.
Srinidhi, your
Sure.
action?
Yeah. So what if you look at like prior to COVID, right? So each of our industries were pretty much in like their own wells, if you will. Right now, what happened, because of the digital acceleration that COVID brought in, was that those wells are all gone and everybody is now swimming in the ocean. Right? Now, and if all the industries are together in the ocean, right? So what happens is that it provides huge challenges and huge opportunities, right? So anybody can pretty much disrupt anybody. It doesn't take an insurance company now to disrupt an insurance company. It could be anybody else coming. Right? So because of this, right, what's going to happen is that only way for insurance industry to stay relevant, in the traditional sense, is that we have to focus on customer experience, right? And that is going to be the focus across the industry, I believe, in the next 18 to 24 months. Customer experience in some context or in some companies might mean the underwriting experience and the journey and so on. In some other companies, the focus might be on customer service post issuance. In some other cases, it might be about the clients and so on. But overall, if you look at it, the focus will be on customer experience. Otherwise, we as an industry will be completely disrupted from outsiders.
Okay. Deepak.
So, Rajneesh, as per my understanding, it is going to be the year for automation and digitization. That's it. Be it a customer journey, be it operations, any process for that matter. So, the industry is going to devote full time on automation and digitization.
Thanks. Anup.
So I'll try and keep it brief. I think the two main focus from our organization point is we have sort of digitalized the day one journeys for consumers, which is the entire acquisition process. Right now, we're working on day two, which is essentially customer service, claim settlement, the life cycle management. I think some of those areas we're working on very strongly. The second area that I think one is pivoting towards is to create a life cycle management in life insurance. Unfortunately, life insurance has been a very transactional behavior. It looks at events and doesn't look at subscription. We are trying to look at how we can map the entire life cycle and be the default life insurance person for consumers. Those are areas of analytics, customer life cycle management, experience management, engagement, vanity build. Those are areas we're working on right now. So that's you can expect from us. Yeah.
Thank you. Anjana.
Yeah, for me, I think the industry innovation, there's going to be use of data for process improvement and how to enhance the customer experience. So that is, I feel, would be the focus in the next immediate year.
Dipu.
Yeah, thanks, Rajneesh. I think a lot of speakers have already spoken, so I'll just keep it very crisp and highlight three, four dimensions. One, as I mentioned, multilingual, because when you take it there, you speak the customer's language and amplify your reach. The other, as I had mentioned before, the best of both man and machine. So you get the efficiency of bots, yet you get, a human touch. Third is, the UI UX is likely to be touchless because, we're still continuing to practice, social distancing. And fourthly, I think, the rise of voice. So I think I see these four dimensions playing out in the coming year.
Thanks. And Himanshu, the last word.
Yeah, so I think most of the panelists have spoken, and I'll probably summarize from what I've heard. I think we all agree that digitization is one of the key initiatives. I would probably want to see more infusion of analytics in automation and business support decisions, fed by more real-time data pipelines.
Okay, thanks. Before we disperse, what we would like to is we would like to hand over to each of the panelists digitally a token of certification, and subsequently our team will get in touch with you and take your address to send the certificate and a small token of appreciation for each of you. So just if you can just stand back for the certification. So we have the first BFSI Innovation Leadership Award. This is for KV Dipu for his role in insurance technology leadership.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Thank you, and thanks to all of you.
Next for Pawan, I think Pawan has just logged off. But this certificate is for Pawan, and we will be sending it across also. Congratulations to Pawan. Can we have the next one? Yeah, this is for Abhishek Bansal for his pioneering role in insurance and technology leadership in BFSI. Congratulations, Abhishek. This is for Mr. M. Raju for his pioneering role in insurance technology and leadership. Congratulations, Raju.
Thank you.
Next is for Deepak Lingwal for his pioneering role in insurance technology. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Deepak.
Thank you, Abhishek, for this.
Next is for Srinidhi Sharma Rao. Your pioneering role. Congratulations.
Thanks, Rajneesh.
For Anjana Rao, her pioneering role in insurance. Congratulations. Next for Anup Seth for his pioneering role in technology leadership. And for Himanshu Gupta, his pioneering role in technology leadership.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Himanshu.
Thank you.
So thanks to all the panelists again for a very interactive discussion. We could have continued longer, but time doesn't permit us. So have a good evening and thank you all, and hope to see you again in similar forum in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajneesh.
Thanks to all.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.